Boozed and Confused is a comedy and weird topic podcast. Adult language may be used, probably by me. While our episode topics may be educational in nature, we are not responsible if your children start dropping the F-bomb to their kindergarten class. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everybody.
Hey, hi.
I'm Carolanne,
I'm Matt.
and our executive producer is asleep, so there's no rules today.
We're going to say heck and frick.
Welcome to another episode of Boozed and Confused.
Thank you for saying that to me. It's very nice to be here.
Yeah, what's been going on? What do you got going on these days?
I'm not talking about it. That's very private. It's very private. We're not talking about the fact that we've been doing nothing.
Yeah, we've been at home for about a week now, since last Saturday, doing nothing. We haven't been seeing other people, and we haven't been going to the store.
So pretty much everything is like normal.
Yeah, so we'll leave that up to the imagination.
Yeah, just like normal stuff that we
Super normal.
No, but it actually is normal for us. We don't see people
Sometimes.
most of the time.
Sometimes.
Usually.
All right. Well, today is not a me episode. Today is a Matt episode, which I'm excited about. But before we get into today's episode, some housekeeping items. The first one, actually, is a different one than usual. We have a promo from our friends at Campfire Classics.
What?
Which is a literary comedy podcast. So that'll be right after this episode. So be sure to give it a listen and then head over to their podcast. You can find them on Spotify, which I think is like probably Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So it's the two biggest podcast platforms. But go give them a listen. And back to our regularly scheduled housekeeping items. The first one. We're on all your favorite social media like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can send us some good memes. You can DM us there. Really whatever you want. And I'm actually getting more active on Twitter now, which Twitter is actually just kind of a shithole, depending on which part of Twitter you're in. So I don't know. I try to not spend too much time on there because it just goes dark real quick.
I'm not really active on Twitter. I do have an account.
Yeah.
I want to say the last thing I looked at was someone from the actual Taliban shitposting, asking about how he looked with his brand new gun.
Uh-huh.
And then some like Gen Z shitlord asked him a question about, do any of your people have ligma? And he goes, what is ligma? And he goes, ligma balls or something.
Oh, God. God bless the Gen Zers who probably have a bigger death wish than like any millennial.
I
And
would
probably
be up
just
for
don't.
the challenge. I'm up for the challenge. I know a few people who would be up for that challenge. We would at least hit that same
Yeah.
vibe as them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not making ligma jokes to the Taliban, so.
Yes, I'm not. You're right. I'm not. But I sure as hell did a screenshot of that, and I think it's pretty funny.
Oh, it is so funny. That's so good. So yeah, social media. If you like the pod and you want to support us, you can follow, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And something that's interesting that I actually read on Twitter is, you know how every podcast says like, be sure to leave a review if you like us, especially on Apple Podcasts. I've read that Apple Podcasts algorithm changed and reviews don't have the same weight anymore. I would still love if you like us and you feel so inclined, I would still love if you left us a review. on Apple Podcasts. But this thing that I was reading said that it's definitely more important to leave reviews on some of like the indie sites. I think like Podchaser, maybe Stitcher. Can't remember the other ones. I should have been better prepared for this, but I'm not. So yeah, definitely leave us a review if you like us, and if you take a screenshot and send it to us, we will send you some Boozed and Confused stickers for free.
I think we're on YouTube now.
Oh shit, we're totally on YouTube. I completely forgot about that. I've just spent like 6 days straight getting all of our old stuff on there because there's no easy way to do that. So we're totally on YouTube. And what's interesting is there's like a completely different crowd of people on YouTube than who usually listen to the pod, which is very interesting.
Right. So if you are a YouTube person, this is our first time mentioning it.
Yeah, shout out to YouTube.
What up? Sorry you won't get to see us actually doing this live because we're not nearly competent enough to do one take.
Yeah, no.
This is not the Joe Rogan experience.
No. Nor would I want it to be.
It's like 3-hour episodes.
Yeah, it's too much. I don't have time for that. The executive producer would not be happy. Let me tell you that. But yeah, so we're on YouTube. You can listen to the audio there as well. And if you're on YouTube, I've seen like a lot of comments come in so far, which is kind of neat. So I'm hoping to maybe be able to respond to those soon, but kind of enjoy that. I think that's pretty neato, like Marge Simpson. So the last housekeeping item, what are you drinking?
This is actually a like a seltzer. It's a Hornitos Tequila Selzer.
Excellent.
It's like a White Claw, but it's tequila.
That sounds like I'm not going to have a good time.
No, I actually feel like this would be way more enjoyable if I put a shot of actual tequila in this, which I'm actually heavily considering doing if we pause at any point during us recording.
All right, we'll keep it rolling. We'll keep going.
I don't know. I hope we pause it.
I don't know. We'll see. But
it takes like one mess up.
I am drinking a Smithwicks because the only beer we have in the house is Smithwicks and Spotted Cow, and I'm over Spotted Cow.
Well, the garage fridge has like Coors,
nope.
Old Style,
no.
Miller Lite,
no,
one
Miller Lite,
one Goose Island IPA,
yeah,
a bunch of lime bubbly water.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And like frozen shots of like different liquors you gave me for my classroom.
I do remember that as well. The only thing appealing to that in me is the Miller Lite, which speaks to my south side.
Very south side of you.
All right, well, that's it. That's all I got for housekeeping items. So I guess we can just get into it.
Sweet. Yeah, okay. I must have spent I don't know how many hours not actually doing research, but actually just trying to figure out what the hell I want to talk about. We started talking about what Travis Wilson, Wilson Travis,
yep.
The alien guy.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, someone on YouTube put a comment
yes.
on the John Teeter episode.
Yes.
I don't know if he was blasting me or not.
I don't think it was the John Teeter episode. I think it was the Bob Lazar episode.
It was whatever. It was one of the two. And I might have mentioned him being like a false flag. Literally, I just pull information and I just display it. I don't really have an opinion on most things I talk about.
I gather my opinions from other people on the internet.
I don't have opinions on anything. But for this one, if it's not like world-ending existential dread, I'm just not into it.
Yeah, I feel like we both have our niches. Like, I particularly enjoy talking about how scummy like corporations are and like cover-ups and conspiracies, and you just talk about all the ways that things are shit in the world.
If you're a psychologist, you might be like, yeah, that's pretty spot on.
Yeah,
that's pretty spot on. No, so talking about doomsday predictions that I think are just neat.
Yeah, and we're doing this episode as Hurricane Ida is ramping up to potentially become a Category 4 to hit New Orleans. So very fitting.
Fun
as
fact.
Climate
Fun fact.
change is.
Fun fact. Carolanne is obsessed with hurricanes.
That is a fun fact. I have a really weird interest in just tropical weather in general. And once like a big storm, well, I guess maybe to be fair to me, I got into this maybe in like 2016-ish. And a lot of the reason I got into it was because of like the humanitarian aspect and volunteering. So, you know, when like Hurricane Harvey hit, for example, I was like helping doing dispatch for volunteer groups. I can't do that anymore. Shout out to people who actually do dispatch, because that shit is so fucked up that it really, really haunted me. So I can't do that anymore. So instead I just do fundraising and I send people money because, yeah. Anyways.
Very surprised that in the background of us working right now, we don't have the TV on with Weather
because
Channel.
the next update doesn't come for a while, so
Oh, so you're saying there's a chance.
there's a chance depending on how long we go.
So you're saying that we might pause it.
Wait, no.
Because you know when we pause it,
we're
I'm
not
taking
gonna
a
pause
shot at
that.
tequila.
Nope.
I'm doing it. It's going to happen.
I'm going to call your mother and I'm going to tell
My
her.
mom listens to this. She's going to know. Oh, and there it is. She definitely messed up. But I don't have tequila, so it's just going to be some Tito's.
No, what about that bottle in the end?
No, that one I'm not touching.
Why?
That's the nice. No, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. I don't look.
You know what? That's fine. You can make your own choice.
That's the good stuff. I'm drinking Tito's vodka. Nostrovia.
God, ew.
When I had the COVID, I couldn't taste anything. I tasted all of that. But it's nice handmade vodka in America, and it's not bad. I hate vodka. I hate vodka. And now we're back. Oh, I hate vodka so much. Okay. Okay, so yeah, Doomsday predictions. So I thought it'd be cool to start off with a poem. So
just to really set the mood.
You know what I'm into.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a part of a poem. I'm not going to read the whole. It's quite a long poem. I thought about reading the entire thing. It's a little long. It would kind of lose the tenor of what I'm trying to do. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper.
If I was better at editing, I would put applause in there.
Ooh, thank you. That's a T.S. Eliot poem, The Hollow Men, which was he began writing in the early 1920s, and it's partially a reflection of post-World War I Europe, which was pretty crap, and partially like this perceived decay of society. And those 4 lines I just read were said to be, well, in his obituary, quote, the most quoted lines of any 20th century poet writing in English. So it's this haunting poem that's like ironically filled with pieces of other literature, like the Inferno by Dante, the Our Father, and like this bleakness of the failure to act by mankind. The most quoted lines of any poet. So it's pretty cool. I would talk for like hours about this poem, but it's not English class. So
no, but if you're into that, you should check out Campfire Classics, which promo is going to be right after this. But just a plug. Go ahead.
If you do have like 5 minutes to spare, read The Hollow Men. If you have half an hour, read some commentary and analysis. It's great. So yeah, if I'm not like writing about the end of the world, I'm thinking about the end of the world. You gotta love.
This is very normal. Very normal.
You gotta love the existential dread.
No,
it's so.
No.
You don't really feel alive if you don't think of dying.
Actually, if you guys want to know something funny, this is a safe space. So I have a generalized anxiety disorder. I have pretty bad anxiety. I started seeing a therapist in January of 2020 because my anxiety was so bad. And when I first started talking to her, I opened up and said, I feel like human life is just so fragile and like something could wipe us all out just in a minute, you know? And like that sort of overwhelming existential bullshit, you know, came over. And then fucking a global pandemic happened. Yeah, I don't know. It was just, I just find it very ironic, the timing. We had literally maybe like 3 or 4 in-person sessions, and then it was the whole like, oh, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
So you're the main character of this universe,
Yeah.
and your mental thought bubbles are creating these things.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop.
I'll just go back to shit posting on Reddit.
Just stop. No, but I totally am somewhere in the same ballpark as you. Definitely, I think starting in college, I would do this thing where I'd do like, 3, 2, 1 now, thinking like that was going to like, that's the meteor coming into the atmosphere.
Thinking so highly of yourself that you could end the world on demand.
It would be crap, but I'd be like, totally called it. Totally called it. Anyways, have you seen the film, and this is probably no, Donnie Darko?
No. But you know what I have seen? Every episode of Law & Order SVU at least 3 times. I just don't have time for movies right now.
You can spend 3 hours watching Law & Order, or you can watch one movie.
All right, get on with it.
I'm calling you out on the pod. Absolutely calling you out on the pod. Spoilers for you as well, then.
Yeah.
This film came out in 2001. That's 20 years ago. That's plenty of time to see it. So spoilers in 3, 2, 1 now. Jake Gyllenhaal, who is a doll, is the main character. And to do no justice to this great, weird film, in a horrible summary, he pretty much has visions of this rabbit suit wearing guy named Frank, and he lets him know that the world is ending in 28 days. And so the rest is really up to you to watch. It's great. It's weird. It's full of like stars. I actually thought that Jake and his sister Maggie were twins until I Googled that Maggie Gyllenhaal is actually older by like 3 years.
Yeah, I will add that to the top of my list for watching.
See, she says that, but she's actually not. So this is obviously a piece of fiction, but there is definitely a countdown of sorts to the end of things.
Oh, like the countdown timer to the end of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Is that
like the end of the world clock?
Oh, that's where
called?
The scientists go like we're 10 seconds to midnight.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's
That's probably what I don't know, fueled my anxiety.
That is a metaphorical, like, here's how close we are to things being irreversible, and even though it already seemed extremely irreversible, but what do I know? I'm just a little plebeian person on a rock in space. So like things might not be ending anytime soon, but it's bound to end, whether it's now or it's eons from now. So I actually ended up going down a Wikipedia rabbit hole.
That sounds about right for you.
Last night, yeah. So I got into an article of like predicted science. So it's stuff that doesn't exist yet. But people who do science now are like, yeah, we'll probably do that down the line. So along with other stuff happening in the future, like, for example, like what will humans be doing when the sun begins its final expansion, as it like begins to become like a red giant and like envelop the inner 4 planets of the solar system.
I hope I'm just dead by then.
We're going to be... I mean, if humans are even alive at that point.
Fair point.
Like, not even
We're
Not
doing a
even
good job at wiping ourselves out, so who knows?
Not even in the ballpark of it happening. There's no way. This is like way in the future. Like personally, I think it's pretty hopeful that we get off this rock and populate the galaxy. But it's a pretty crazy like Wikipedia page. We could probably link it.
Yeah,
I'd have to find it.
Yeah.
It's cool just to like see what they think can happen. So like even if we do manage to leave Earth and we populate the Milky Way, because let's be serious, like the universe is so stupidly large, it can't even fathom. I want to say I was either reading something or listening to a video or something, and someone put it like this: like if the United States is the Milky Way and Earth is like in Arizona, and like our fastest that we've traveled, like our satellites, like if we've sent them out, which we have plenty of them, if it was like a house, the satellite is like a piece of dust in the house, and that piece of dust hasn't even like left the driveway yet.
I don't want to do this anymore.
That's how big things are and how small we are. Anyways.
I'll be sure to bring this up on next Thursday's call with my therapist.
So, anyways, even if we do, leave Earth and escape this solar system and find other planets, which there are planets that are out there that can be theoretically habitable. No, that's a habit. Habitable. Oh man, that's bad. Even if, regardless of what we do in the next even million years, if that's an even possible thing for us to achieve, is being alive for that long. Not alive, but exist as a species.
Please just freeze my head. Let me be Walt Disney.
No, I was gonna do a Walt Disney episode, and then like the first thing I found was like, it's actually he was cremated. But that might be the Disney people.
That's the false flag. That's the false fucking flag.
Look, regardless of whatever we do, the universe eventually will be nothing but black holes, and even the smallest atom will cease to exist. And it's such a weird thing to try and contemplate. First of all, like how big the universe is, but also that nothing will exist. I don't know.
So which part of this is Doomsday? Are we just?
Oh, I'm still getting there. Look, we're gonna go back to like 60.
Great. Yeah.
Like
just
like
all the way
year
through history.
60.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think watching the film Interstellar earlier this week got me on this vibe because I totally did watch Interstellar.
Yes, I'm aware.
It's a film that everyone needs to watch. I actually had loads of anxiety beginning the film, as I do with some other movies. I'm actually yes, it's like it's hard to be like, all right, for the next 2.5, 3 hours, I will do this and nothing else. It's a little tough.
Do you see why I don't watch a lot of movies?
But I only watch good movies.
I only watch good movies.
You don't watch movies, period.
No,
you only watch Lord of the Rings and Star Wars.
Those are good movies.
There's like. We don't have time to talk about this.
No, we don't.
We don't have time. So, like I said, I've been finding it harder to sit down and be like, all right, movie time. But I'm happy I did. So, as if existential dread is not on my mind enough, I decided it was time to take a look back at a whole bunch of times people thought the world was ending. And it turns out there's a whole bunch of it, and it's pretty great.
What if every one of those doomsday predictions actually came true, but like the beginning of life would happen in like an alternate universe or like a copy universe, and we're maybe like the 15th?
Do you know how close I was to talking about quantum it's not quantum death, it's quantum immortality.
Uh-huh.
You know how close I was to doing that topic? I'd still be writing it right now.
Oh, I'm sure.
It'd be like a week long. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that to myself.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. All right. I'll shut up now. Go ahead.
So whether it's an old Mayan calendar, numbers hidden in the Bible, giant meteor, comet hurtling towards Earth, humans have had this obsession with trying to predict or know when everything we've worked for as a species will like just come to an end.
Meteor.
Hey, Angel, did you make the dinosaurs meteor like I asked?
A meteor.
Meteor. It's the only good TikTok that exists.
There's a lot of good ones, but
It's the best
that
TikTok
one is
that
the
exists.
best one.
Oh, she's so great. Also, like a paleontologist, I think she is.
Yes.
If no one knows what we're talking about, just type in TikTok meteor.
TikTok dinosaurs meteor god.
It's funny.
It is
It's
good.
very funny. Anyways, a lot of the predictions of the world ending do have us ending with a bang and not a whimper. So kind of like the opposite of T.S. Eliot there. So let's take a look at some of the fun predictions of how it all ends, past, present, and future. We're not out of the woods yet, folks. So I think the first time I thought about the world ending was when I borrowed a book from the library. It was a book about black holes. I was like 10 years old, and I was super upset when I thought about all my toys, like not being like looked after or cared for. And then I didn't really think about that until I think my sophomore year of high school, when that earthquake hit the Indian Ocean in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yes.
What are you, like a third grader then?
You are
You
so
baby.
rude.
You baby.
I'm really not that much younger
I was a
than
sophomore
you.
in high school. You were, don't even say what grade you were in. But you remember that, right?
Yes.
NASA scientists, using the data from the earthquake, calculated its effect on Earth's rotation. And like it actually shortened the length of day. And it slightly changed the planet's shape, and it shifted the North Pole by a few centimeters.
That's pretty hardcore.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So the earthquake also created the huge tsunami, and it slightly altered Earth's rotation for it's all very small, but like the force of nature was so massive, like they estimate that Earth now tilts by an extra 2.5 centimeters after the shaking of that earthquake.
That's wild to think about.
And so it might have just been like a Midwest winter thing, where it's like ice cold and then it's like 50 degrees for like a week.
Yeah, and everybody's outside in shorts.
Which is...
and grilling.
Yes, absolutely. But like I remember the warmest days of winter, like right after that earthquake happened. And like looking back on it, I don't know how much of an effect that the earthquake actually had, but it did give me an example of how easily nature can just like flip everything on its head. Anyways, like on to the good stuff, I guess. Let's take a look at how the world would have ended if people were right. And here's some other ways that the world could end if other people are right. So I feel like the years and months leading up to December 2012 were like the most heavily filled with doomsday predictions.
Yeah, that was like our Y2K.
Yeah. Well, we also experienced Y2K.
Yeah, but I didn't have like the recognition of what was really going on.
I did. I was like, I held my breath at midnight. I was terrified of midnight on 2000.
I had no idea. I could have been
was-
vaporized and it just would have been game over for
All right,
me.
chill. But it's like every few years something new pops up. So you said Y2K. Totally. Then you got the Mayan calendar. You got planet Nibiru that's going to blast into Earth. You've got the Rapture. You've got the Yellowstone caldera.
Oh my God.
Ready
When
to
I was in
blow.
Yellowstone, I was like, it would be my fucking luck that the shit would explode while I'm here. And I guess maybe that's preferable because you would just immediately die rather than be somewhere else in the country and just have like absolutely no sunlight for years from the explosion. But
Well, Woody Harrelson in the film 2012 definitely gets got by the caldera.
yeah, I mean, I would probably prefer that.
I would choose to be killed in the first 10 seconds of it than survive for 10 years. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So like predictions of the end of the world are nothing new. This dates back to like the first millennium, CE, AD, whichever way you roll with it. Folks have been prepared for it all to end. And although a lot of it revolves around like the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, a lot of it doesn't. And so I'm going to kind of go into both. So I begin kind of religious, and then I kind of go into the silly stuff. So if you really hate hearing about scripture and stuff, maybe skip like, I don't know, 5 minutes. But I do have some stats for us before I get into it. There was a poll conducted in 2012 across 20 countries, and it found that over 14% of people believed that the world would end in their lifetime. And those numbers would range from 6% of people in France to 22% of people in the U.S. and Turkey.
That's very interesting. I wonder if there's like just a cultural difference there, or I also want to know like the age of the people who responded yes to that.
Well, no one asked me, so there's that. So, belief in the apocalypse is observed to be the most prevalent in people with, I hate to say it, lower rates of education, lower household incomes.
Are you calling me dumb?
No, I'm not calling anyone dumb. This is just the thing I found on the internet.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it. And also people under the age of 35.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I fit that description.
Yeah, we both do. Oh no, we're smart. We have a podcast.
SMRT.
We're smart.
Yeah.
We hold all the cards.
Yeah.
We're the media.
Yeah. I have a degree. I'm smart.
SMRT. So one of the first predictions of the world ending takes us back to the year 66. Period. This prediction is accredited to Simon Ben Giora, who was the leader, one of the leaders, of one of the major Judean rebel factions during the first Jewish-Roman War in the first century of Roman Judea. So, he believed that the Jewish uprising against the Romans was the final endgame battle which would bring about the arrival of the Messiah and thus the end of the world.
It's the final countdown.
And so the war was not the end of the world. In fact, it wasn't even the last war in those fights. It was the first of 3 major rebellions against the Roman Empire. And Simon didn't even live to see the end of fighting because he was caught and executed in the year 70.
Poor Simon. I'll toast to Simon.
To Simon.
To Simon.
So the conflict would actually carry on until 136, and the world moves on. So he was wrong. But this was one of the first historically acknowledged predictions, and it definitely was not the last, even in the first century, AD/CE, whichever way you roll again. In fact, Wikipedia alone had 11 references of apocalypse predictions in the first century. So a number of, this is going to move forward now in time, a number of Christian thinkers, philosophers, took this one section from chapter 9 of the book of Daniel, which is super Old Testament. They thought that they could interpret the prophecies, which were super, not want to say like prophetic, but like they're super heavy. And they believe that they were able to interpret the numbers in these verses and predict to like the minute when the world would end. So I'm actually going to read those few verses and then kind of say like what they thought and then kind of what they did when they were wrong. So this part of the Bible has been interpreted a million times over, and more modern scholars are like, this is like a swamp of horrible interpretation done by people. So modern scholars are like, yeah, everyone in the past did a crap job on this. They're trying to find things that aren't there.
0 out of 10.
Yeah. So there's like a big 3 that are in the first century that I'm going to talk about, but not get too into it. So there's a guy named Hippolytus of Rome, Sextus Julius Africanus, and Irenaeus. They are not friends. They're not even living in the same time. But they all had taken the prophecy's use of the word weeks, pretty much put their spin on it. Is it years? Is it months, solar years, lunar years? Here's what the Bible says. It says, 70 weeks are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish the transgression, to put an end to sin, and to atone for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal both vision and prophet, and to anoint a most holy place. Know, therefore, and understand from the time that the world went out to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the time of an anointed prince, there shall be 7 weeks, and for 62 weeks it shall be built again with streets and moat, but in a troubled time. After the 62 weeks, an anointed one shall be cut off and shall have nothing, and the troops of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Its end shall come with a flood, and to the end there shall be war. Desolations are decreed. He shall make a strong covenant for 1 week, and for half of the week he shall make sacrifice and offering cease. And in their place shall be an abomination that desolates until the decreed end is poured out upon the desolator. Whew. It's some heavy stuff. It's very like, this is the end. This is what's going to happen.
Very casual, light reading. Love to do it. Like in bed, Friday night.
Absolutely.
Glass of wine.
It's cryptic as hell, though. And needless to say, they believed that the year 500 CE would bring about the end.
They obviously didn't listen to that song by the Jonas Brothers, Year 3000.
Ooh.
I went to the year 3000. Not much has changed, but they live underwater. Idiots. Not Jonas Brothers,
No, they're great.
the scripture.
No, they're great. Oh, no, not even the scriptures, just the guys. They're just
Well,
wrong.
yeah,
They're just wrong.
That's what I mean.
So actually, Sextus Julius Africanus changed his prediction from 500 to 800 after recalculating some stuff, but he was dead by like 240, so it didn't even matter. But actually, corrections from the scholars, they always change their predictions when they're wrong. It happens all the time. So we jump to the year 1000. So still first century-ish. Folks kind of had their own Y2K problem. It was like a Y1K, I guess. So clerics around Europe saw the year 1000 as the year the apocalypse would begin. This being 1,000 years after the birth of Jesus, it seemed appropriate, I guess. And actually, riots were said to have occurred in Europe as pilgrims began heading east towards Jerusalem to prepare for the end of days. And when nothing happened in the year 1000, theorists kind of like rescaled their prediction to the year 1033, proposing that the end would not occur 1,000 years after the birth of Jesus, but the death of Jesus. Also, nothing happened.
Just changing the goalposts. It's fine.
Yeah. Moving forward a little bit, folks around Europe in the mid-1300s dealing with the Black Death.
Yeah, I feel like that one I could kind of understand.
They saw the Black Death as a sign of the end of times. And honestly, I can't blame them.
What's that movie where it's like the end of the world, but like everything that starts to happen is like shit that like happened in the Bibles? All right, so behind the scenes moment, I Googled it. I think the movie that I'm talking about is The Remaining. It's like cataclysmic events and biblical enemies shatter a wedding, and I don't know.
Oh, nice. A wedding.
Yeah. The one that I'm thinking of, I like very distinctly remember they're like maybe in like Egypt or something. And there's a bunch of like cicadas or like bugs.
Is that the
swarm.
Prince of Egypt? I love that movie.
No, it's it's not the Prince of Egypt.
I love that movie.
It is not the Prince of Egypt. Maybe it is The Remaining. All right, whatever. We'll just leave it be at that. That's fine.
That's cool. Yeah. But yeah, Black Death. Can't blame them for thinking this was the end of the world. Nearly 10 years of everyone you know dying could make you think that way.
Yeah.
Like, this thing killed between 75 and 200 million people.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it.
Ugh, thank goodness we have science now, and like we have like vaccines and stuff.
Yeah,
that
good
can
thing we
fight
have vaccines.
Pandemics.
Yeah, good thing we have science and scientists who tell us how to survive things like this.
Ugh.
So great.
We're gonna jump ahead to 1520s, but kind of rewind to 1499. Actually, there was a massively respected German mathematician and astrologer. His name was Johannes Stoffler. He predicted that a massive flood would once again cover the earth on precisely February 25th, 1524. Now, he was respected. Like, he was actually an advisor to a royal fellow. So when you're on that court, you get a little bit more fluff with your stuff. So his word held more weight. So according to his research, all of the known planets, at the time there were 6, they were going to be in alignment under Pisces, the astrological sign Pisces, which is a fish.
It's just such a Pisces thing, end of the world. So dramatic.
Well, and so the English astrologers didn't want to be outdone by this German astrologer guy, so they made their own announcement saying that the flood wouldn't happen on the 25th of February, but the 1st of February. And so when the flood didn't happen on the 1st of February, the English astrologers said that they forgot to carry a 1, and the actual flood wouldn't occur until February 1st of 1624.
Of course.
Not 1524.
That's such a small mistake.
It really is. But now that left us like 23 days until the German flood was going to happen. 1524, actually a very dry year in Europe.
So it didn't happen.
Well, no. This is a funny one. I was having a good chuckle with this one. So, pretty dry year, but boat builders, holy shit, became so popular, very wealthy, as people were putting their life savings into boats.
Oh my god.
So they would live through the flood.
Of course.
And so Stoffler actually had pamphlets created, and they were handing out hundreds of these things to town folk, and it got pretty heavy. Like, there was panic happening in the town. And actually, a German nobleman by the name of Count von Igelheim was so convinced of the flood that he had a 3-story ark built. And legend has it that at the crack of dawn on February 24th, Count von Igelheim boarded his ark and had his servants drag his supplies up the plank. Now, people who were not taking this thing too seriously just kind of were like gathering around the ark to kind of like guffaw and laugh at him. And so, they're like, haha, you spent lots of money on a boat that's really big. However, everyone stopped laughing when it began to rain.
Oh, no.
It wasn't a deluge. It wasn't a very heavy rain, but it began raining, and a stampede began in the crowd, and hundreds of people were killed in the stampede that followed. And then they turned their attention on von Igelheim's ark and other ships nearby. Now, he refused to let anybody on his ark.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And so they got on his ship and they dragged him off and they stoned him to death.
Okay. I don't know if I would do the same thing, but I kind of get it.
Yeah. And well, the thing is, the panic pretty much ended immediately once the rain stopped.
Do you guys think we maybe overreacted
Do
a little bit?
you think we overreacted? Never.
Oh, God.
But there were, tons of dead bodies everywhere, and then this rich dude just stoned to death for not letting the people in during the flood. What other really rich person wouldn't let people into his big
Was it Joel Osteen?
Was it Joel Osteen?
I think it was Joel Osteen.
Was it Joel Osteen?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, man. Anyways, Stoffler didn't die. He did not die, but he was super embarrassed. So, like the English astrologers, he said that he miscalculated, and he recalculated his formula to say that this flood would occur in 1528. So he dies in 1531, but from a plague, not from a flood.
Course, yeah.
Holy shit. This is another one. This is a whole different one. This one is known as the Prophet Hen of Leeds.
Hen, like... Okay, yeah.
What do chickens say? Anyways, this is 1806. So I'm kind of just moving forward in time. This is 1806. In the year 1806, in Leeds, England, a hen laid some eggs.
And that was the end of the world?
No, not quite. I mean, lots of hens lay eggs, and they still do to this day. They still do. But these eggs that were being laid were special. This one special hen, who was owned by Mary Bateman, she said her hen laid eggs, and on the eggs were prophecies.
Oh, come on. This is like the people who have toast that maybe looks a little bit like Jesus, and then they go sell it on eBay.
No, there's actually this thing about human brains that search for human faces and things.
Uh-huh.
So we make it. It's actually a thing. It's actually a thing. But this was not a thing. This was absolutely a fake prediction. So on an egg, the message was Christ is coming. So the hen's owner, Mary Bateman, shared the news. And of course, Leeds is like, yo, let's go check out this hen. And so crowds of people would visit the hen and would begin to despair of the coming judgment day. Turns out, before the crowds would come, the hens would lay the egg or eggs, And she would write on the eggs in some like caustic ink that wouldn't look too inky, but would like appear on the eggs, and then shove the eggs back in the hens.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, kind of unrelated. A few years later, she's found to be guilty of murdering people with poison. And she was hanged in 1809.
Yeah, she didn't sound very stable.
She was a scammy lady. Yeah, she was a scam artist.
Yeah.
She would actually charge people like admission, would ask for gifts from these people, going on these like pilgrimages to Leeds. Who goes to Leeds?
I would probably go.
I'm never gonna go to Leeds.
I'd probably
I'm never gonna go to Leeds. But yeah, she was actually, after the whole apocalypse hen thing kind of blew over, she got into like poisoning people.
Yeah, that's, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, she was like, no, I'd never do that. And then they found poison in her house and like, we're gonna hang you, and she died.
R.I.P.
She died. Fast forward to 1998.
I'm ready for it.
We were alive.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready.
We were alive. You were 6. You were 6 years old.
I was 6, yeah.
I was, what? I don't know how old I was. 9?
9.
I was 9. So this is kind of like a cult. This is a cult founded by Hon Ming Chen, and this was called the Chen Tao, a.k.a. the True Way cult. He didn't call it a cult. I call it a cult. Everyone calls it a cult.
No one that's
no
in a
one's
cult
in a cult
calls it a cult
No,
because
exactly.
then that's too meta.
So Chen Tao was a fusion of Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, and ufology.
Yeah, just throw in the ufology. That's fine.
So Chen, our main guy here, Chen, believes that Earth has gone through these tribulations. The Earth has gone through 5 tribulations, which date back to the dinosaurs. And each of these tribulations was survived by beings that lived in North America, who were rescued by God in a flying saucer. Now, mind you, all of this is happening right after the Heaven's Gate cult had their mass suicide.
Yeah.
If you don't recall or you don't know what Heaven's Gate cult was, just look it up. They were another UFO cult that believed a lot. They believed a lot.
Did we talk about them in our cults episode?
Probably.
Yeah.
You can't talk about a cult and not talk about Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
But they're famously known for believing that a spaceship was closely following behind the comet Hale-Bopp, which I remember seeing with my dad. I remember he was getting pizza, and then he came home and goes, "Hey, there's a comet." And there it was for like 5 days. And so as the comet approached, the members committed suicide, believing that a spaceship would take their souls to a better place.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 people after the mass suicide, 2 people remaining to like keep watch.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of just sounds like they didn't want to do it.
No. It was like they were told to stay back and keep
how do you get
watch.
picked for that job?
I don't know. They lucked out, or maybe they didn't because they're still in the cult then.
Yeah.
If they're still doing it. But the website, if you want to see what the internet was back in the 90s, just Wikipedia, Heaven's Gate cult, and you will see an exact example of the internet from the 90s. It's horrible. So Chen, he believed that the solar system was 4.5 trillion years old, or roughly 300 times the age that science gives the universe. And he also believed that the solar system was created by a nuclear war.
I mean, he obviously just knew something we did not.
He was on another level. So he was in Taiwan, and he and a number of his followers moved to North America, like the U.S. And so he preached that God would appear on U.S. television, Channel 18, on March 25th, 1998.
Why Channel 18?
Yeah, I don't know. To announce that he would descend to Earth the following week in physical form, identical to their founder, Chen. You can actually find the footage of people watching this channel from the cult waiting for this to happen and then being like, well, that was some bullshit.
I feel like that would be on the Cringetopia subreddit.
Oh, also, everyone in the cult wore cowboy hats.
Was that a requirement or just coincidence?
Again, if you look it up, you can find it.
Oh.
I can put the link in the source and I can show it. It's great. So the following year, Chen prophesied that millions of devil spirits, along with massive floods, would result in mass extinction of the human population. And followers could be spared by buying their way aboard spaceships, which looked like clouds, and they'd be rescued.
Convenient.
However, unlike Heaven's Gate, which almost everyone killed themselves, 2/3 of Chen Tao left the group, like, after this TV thing didn't happen. Like, you saw this, like, old couple were like, well, it's 12:15, nothing's happened, I'm done.
It's like the SpongeBob meme. All right, I'm gonna head out.
So some members stuck around, actually, believing that the impending war between China and Taiwan would lead to a nuclear war and an impending nuclear holocaust, and God would arrive in a God plane to save the believers, which none of that happened. None of that happened. Pretty much nothing has been heard from this group since 2001. So that's a fun one. That's a fun one. One thing a lot of these historical moments show that, like, no matter how far we get with science or understanding the world around us, there's still something in us that we keep an eye out for the end. Like, no matter how silly it might be, it's like it's got to be like an evolutionary thing that we had from, like, our cave days, watching out for, like, tigers and shit. The last prediction I'm going to talk about today, well, second to last, but probably, like, the most well known, I guess, in, like, modern mind at least, and it's December 12th, 2012.
Yeah, this one was probably the most convincing for me. Not gonna lie.
It absolutely was. It absolutely was. And that damn movie didn't help.
Oh, no, not at all.
Because that shit came out in, like, 2011.
I did watch that movie,
Oh, I watched
actually.
it. I watched it. And I was like, oh, no. Get in the boat. So, December 12th, 2012, for all you younglings, if you are younger than us, I don't know if you are, marked the end of the first great cycle of the Mesoamerican long count calendar. And woof. Oof. This one had me nervous. This one legitimately had me nervous. I was a senior in college, and I was like, you're telling me I'm going to spend 5 years in college, couldn't do it in 4, 5 years in college, just for, like, my last year to end with, like, just awful, just dying. So yeah, I was nervous, but the end of the cycle was supposed to be the beginning of a new one. And actually, this day was celebrated by that part of the world. It was a big celebration. But astronomical alignments and numerological formulas were proposed for this date, besides the whole, like, yep, this one's over, here's a new calendar. A New Age interpretation held that the date marked the start of a period in which Earth and its inhabitants would undergo this, like, positive change. It would be both physical and spiritual. And that was the good thing that the Central Americans were celebrating. However, most people were like, "No, this is the end of everything. We're all dead."
Yeah. I mean, that's how I was.
No, I mean it's like there were these scenarios just being thrown out by the handfuls. The end of the world is coming. The sun is hitting a solar maximum, which is like the most activity. So it's shooting out its outer layers towards the solar system. Normally, our magnetic field keeps us safe. It's the northern lights. That's what we see.
Mm-hmm.
However, this was supposed to be lined up when the poles were shifting, so it'd be a weakened field, and we're just going to get obliterated by it. It was going to destroy all satellites. It was going to destroy modern society. Other things was like the Earth was going to have some interaction with a supermassive black hole that was at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It literally was like day after day. If this one thing didn't happen, it was this next thing that was going to happen. And then finally, there was this one mysterious planet, a rogue planet named Nibiru, or Planet X. It's had a couple names. And it was this rogue planet that was not linked to any other of our planets in our system's orbits, but was out there. And there were these videos of people who had like footage of a mysterious shining light in the distance behind the sun, that it was coming to end us. And there's actually this film called, I think, Melancholia. It's by Lars von Trier. It's a horribly brutal movie. It's also about like a wedding, but like a planet is coming to hit the Earth and everything ends in the end. Spoilers.
Oh, great.
But I was like watching these videos like, oh my God, what is that thing? What's that shining light behind the sun? It's like a sundog. You know what a sundog is?
I don't know.
It's like the clouds are like, you can't see the clouds, but the water in the clouds like refracts the sun, and like actually like you see like two of them.
Yeah.
It's just like this less common cloud formation. But man, 2012 had me like bugging.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. I was there. I was alive.
I was bugging for sure. And that was really like the last big doomsday prophecy that I can remember in my life. I guess there are some newer ones.
Yeah, like, what was it? The UN just released a report about climate change and the end of the world.
What do they say?
Things are going really great.
No, what? No. What do they say?
I mean, it pretty much just talked about there are certain aspects of what we've done that are just completely irreversible, but we could prevent like future warming or additional warming. But yeah, I mean, at this point, let's just kick it down the road like everybody else before us has.
I've got mine.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have mine yet, actually. I don't have mine yet.
Yeah. Well, wait till we're like 65.
Yeah. So that's like all I have like note-wise, but I did stumble across this thing pre-recording. There's always these asteroids, flying through space, and we always have these like close encounters. I put those in quotation marks. NASA would call a close encounter like a 0.001% chance as a close encounter. There's allegedly this asteroid that's supposed to be coming back our way in like 2029 or something, and I forget the name of the asteroid, but they call it the Chaos God asteroid.
That's pretty badass.
That's not the actual name. Ooh, it's Apophis, asteroid Apophis.
Oh, okay.
Which is a massive asteroid. That essentially, the chance for it hitting Earth is like 2%, which is still like I'd say pretty dang low. But then again, literally the first time I've ever heard of this thing. I didn't throw it into the article because I've had plenty of other things to talk about. But this thing is like as tall as the Empire State Building, and it actually passed by Earth on March 5th of this year. And
we didn't die.
No. Of course not.
Or did we?
Or did we? And we're in some parallel universe. So it won't be back until 2029 for a potentially dangerous flyby. And again, close on in terms of like space. The moon is close in space. It would probably be farther away than the moon is, so it wouldn't be a threat. But you never know.
You never know.
You gotta keep people nervous about the future. And
about
for me,
something.
it's always space shit for me. It's always space shit. I guess it's due April 13th.
Excellent. I'll put it on the calendar.
2029, where it would come within 19,400 miles of Earth and be visible to the naked eye.
I'll keep a lookout.
Yeah. So, calculations are at 2.7% of it hitting us. If it does, that's probably GG, honestly. But 2%, I'll take my chances.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty small. Pretty slim.
There's a 2% chance that there's like a poisoned Skittle in a jar of Skittles, I might grab one. If I'm really hungry.
Yeah.
But yeah, should make for some really fun stuff in about 8 years.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll do a follow-up episode.
Can't wait. I totally can wait. But yeah, that's all I got.
I enjoyed this, and very depressing.
No, there's so many funny things in there, like the hen.
Okay. I appreciate the guy who built like a fucking yacht, and then
you can't come on my yacht.
Yeah.
And then it started to rain. Yeah, this is fun. There's so many predictions out there. Some are very dogmatic and like Bible based. I didn't want to do only things from the Bible, but there's so many, and these guys keep changing their math and like, oh, I was wrong by like 3 months. It's happening. I swear it's happening.
I'm super serial this time.
Yeah. But hopefully the world will not end.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see you hopefully next week.
Yeah.
Again, assuming the world is not going to end in a week.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining us this week. Don't forget there is a promo from our friends at Campfire Classics right after this, so go give them a listen. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Unless we all die.
Because the world ends.
Fingers crossed it doesn't.
Bet it doesn't. Okay.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Remember those stories you were supposed to read in high school?
Oh, Dickens.
Poe.
That's literally all the names I can think of.
Did you read them?
Obviously I didn't.
Let us read them for you.
That sounds dangerous.
What does?
Reading?
It might go badly.
But that's half the fun.
I'm Ken Sandberg.
And I'm Heather Michelle Lawler.
Check out Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
Campfire Classics is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Listen, like, follow.